What is up, enthusiasts? It is Thrill Dragster here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So on this channel, I like to talk a lot about currently operating rides, but today, I wanted to flip the script a little bit. Now, there are a lot of roller coasters and rides that we ride in our lifetime, and eventually, some of those rides are going to close. And today, I wanted to gather around the best of closed rides that I've gotten to go on, and I wanted to present them to you. Either we have or we will eventually experience that weird feeling when a ride that you like is announced to close. It's a very bizarre feeling knowing that you thought the ride would be there for seasons to come. So, instead of being sad about the rides that are gone, let's celebrate the fact that they were here. This is Cedar Flags, and today, I'm going to talk about my favorite defunct amusement park attractions. Now, before I get into it, I do want to talk about a couple of rules. The first rule is that a defunct ride in this specific video is very, very lenient. I will have coaster conversions in here, coasters that are different from what they used to be, and then I will also have flat rides, but I will also have water attractions as well. Truthfully, I wanted to talk about as many different defunct experiences as physically possible. First, I want to talk about Kennywood's former drop tower, Pitfall. This 251-foot Intamin drop tower truly had an amazing view. If you got the right seat, you would be facing the cliff next to Thunderbolt and Phantom's Revenge. And let me say, the drop on it was absolutely incredible. I really do miss this and would want it back any day. It actually opened up as the tallest drop tower in the world in the late 90s, but closed in 2011 and was replaced by the Black Widow. Going from one side of Kennywood to another, we go to another defunct ride that I loved. This was the Log Jammer, the aerodynamics log flume introduced in 1975. It had a beautiful layout coursing through the Kennywood woods and going into two different drops, one of them having a little downwards and upwards section before the first splashdown. The second splashdown was a lot more traditional. I also think that the general aesthetic of this ride was beautiful as well. Now we go into flat rides away from my home parks. We go to the Crypt at King's Dominion. Though the one at Kings Island definitely did look cooler and more unique, the Crypt at King's Dominion was definitely not something to ignore either. This was my first top spin and I absolutely fell in love. Going up and then going downwards, upside down, is truly one of the craziest, most head-scratching experiences I have ever gotten to do. And then flipping uncontrollably after, it is an awesome ride, and the cherry on top of the milkshake truly was that theming. The theming looked incredible, and it truly was one of the best themed top spins that was still currently operating, but, as we know, Tumbili has replaced it. From one flat ride to another, we go to Six Flags Great Adventure to talk about the Parachute Tower. Now, this is a very interesting ride, and let me say, I was very sad when it closed. What you would do is strap into a parachute, go all the way up, and then go all the way down. This ride, like I said, was also extremely rare, maybe even the only one of its kind left in the United States. Vortex at Kings Island was one of my favorite aero coasters of all time. This aero looper is near the back of the park in between Beast and Racer, and it had an incredible thrill factor. This was by far my favorite aero looper, and if it were still open, would still be in the case. This is also my third favorite aero of all time, behind Gemini and Magnum XL200. The reason I liked it so much was because of 1, its intensity, 2, its authentic feel, and 3, the length of its layout. I'm a sucker for when an aero looper can provide more than just inversions. This ride has extra hills, helixes, and more enjoyable moments. Going from one Kings Island coaster to another, we go to Firehawk. Firehawk was the Vekoma Flying Dutchman at this park and was a relocation from the former Geauga Lake. Even after riding Superman Ultimate Flight and Manta, this may still be my favorite flying coaster of all time. The true highlight of this ride was that vertical loop. You cannot find these on any other type of flying coaster model, and this provided a great experience. I can confidently say that this is one of my favorite vertical loops because of the unique way that you go into it. Laying down instead of sitting down truly makes a massive difference. And though its replacement Orion is definitely a great replacement for this park, I will always miss Firehawk. Now let's go to the roller coaster that a lot of you have been probably waiting for. This is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is going to be lenient, and I personally consider Top Thrill Dragster a defunct ride, in the same way that both Buzzsaw Falls and Steel Phantom are defunct coasters as well. Top Thrill Dragster's first launch is a night and day difference from what Top Thrill 2 is going to offer. While Top Thrill 2 has a longer experience, the original Top Thrill Dragster had one single launch, going from 0 to 120 in less than 4 seconds. And this moment was my very favorite moment on any roller coaster ever. There's not a single element out there that provides the thrill factor and adrenaline that this element used to provide for me. May the original Top Thrill Dragster live on in the minds of coaster enthusiasts everywhere. Staying in the town of Sandusky, we go from an amusement park to a water park. We are going to be looking at Zip Coaster at Kalahari in Sandusky. This water coaster opened up with the resort back in the 2000s, and it was many people's, including my own, favorite ride at this water park. It was definitely one of the most unique water slide experiences ever to go up a conveyor belt launch into a legitimate ejector airtime moment. And there are a few more of those throughout the ride where that came from. Unfortunately though, the ride ended up closing down and does not have a replacement as of now. And you know what? Staying in Sandusky, let's talk about Mean Streak. Mean Streak is a coaster, even though that it was replaced by my literal number 1, it is still a heartwarming coaster to me. It was still a bittersweet removal. Now, when I first rode Mean Streak, I didn't know if I was the biggest fan or not, but then I rode in the front row. And let me tell you, Mean Streak in the front row was a very fun experience. In fact, I think I would put it over Blue Streak in the front row as well. Though the ride didn't have as many forces, it was an extremely long layout, and it felt like your average wooden coaster. Though, a lot of the other rows were extremely rough, and with the ride not providing many forces, the popularity went down fast. Now we go to one that is currently open. So why am I talking about it? Well, it's going to be closing in a few weeks. This is the original Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City, one of my favorite amusement parks on the planet. Now, like I said, they will be replacing this ride with another Fire in the Hole that will be a lot more state-of-the-art, and by a new manufacturer, RMC. Talking about the original Fire in the Hole though, I got to ride in the back, and riding in the back, you actually got some pretty decent airtime on the finale of the ride. But even other than that, the theming on this ride was incredible, and I loved the splashdown at the end, and I cannot wait to ride its replacement in 2024. Now we go to an amusement park attraction that really wouldn't even be considered a ride, but that is why I called this video attractions instead of rides. I want to talk about Poseidons Fury at Islands of Adventure. You went inside a massive building and went on a tour that included battles of water and fire and an incredible iconic water tunnel. When it comes to the replacement of this ride, I would love to see a trackless dark ride, but we will have to wait and see what Universal does with this area. For our final coaster of this installment, we are going to talk about Wildcat at Hershey Park. More specifically, the second edition out of the 3 Wildcats that have existed at this park. This is credited as being the world's first GCI roller coaster. And when they opened it up, they were very proud in what they made. And rightfully so, because this ride rocked. Now, I know that is an unpopular opinion, and I get why people would not like this ride, but personally, this was my favorite wooden coaster at Hershey Park, including Comet and Lightning Racer. The forces on this ride were truly amazing, even for a GCI roller coaster. You actually got some ejector and flowjector moments throughout the second half of that ride, and the layout going in and out of itself multiple times truly made this ride the authentic wooden coaster experience that we try to find in every wooden coaster we ride. Now, I have not gotten to ride its RMC conversion Wildcat's Revenge yet, but when I do, I'm sure, just like Steel Vengeance, I will like this more than its original. Finally, I want to talk about a whole genre of water rides. These are the dinghy slides. Now, there are a lot of these still open around the world, but I've noticed a lot of them closing in the past year. For example, one at Canopy closed, and one at Universal Studios closed as well. Is it a matter of time before we lose even more of these dinghy slides? Well, we will have to wait and see, but I want to tell you that I really love these rides and I really wish the best for their future. These are found at the dry park and will get you a lot less wet than your average water slide. But it has a very similar feeling and you can enter it through the dry park like previously mentioned. So that was my video on defunct rides. Have you gotten to ride any of these? Let me know in the comments down below. Which one was your favorite and what is your earliest defunct ride? Out of all of these, the first one to close was Pitfall. So I would say that takes my answer. Anyways, until next time, this is Cedar Flags and I'll see you all later.